Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Divine You podcast with yours truly, A.G. Green. Thank you so much for connecting. Whether you're watching my audio or video on our YouTube channel, I'm so thankful and grateful to have you join the conversation today. Make sure you share this broadcast with as many people as you possibly can. I believe it's going to have a powerful impact on them. The Divine You podcast is your gateway to uncovering the infinite power within. Prepare to evolve, transform, and ascend. You can connect with me on social media for more powerful content and what I'm discussing today, and a whole lot of other things. Follow me at AG Green now on IG, that's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And of course, visit me on our online hub, theaggreen.com. That's theaggreen.com. How's it going? Listen, I am really glad to be talking with you today. Really glad to be talking with you today. Pull up a chair, chill out, gather yourself, and let's go deeper. Wonderful. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to this Divine You podcast with yours truly. I want to pick up at part 2, been discussing You Are Your Habits. You Are Your Habits. This is part 2. And I feel it necessary to lay out the disclaimer as I did in the last podcast to help you understand when I say you are your habits, I mean the physical brain interface where we have a material organism we know as the brain that is the processing center and interface for us into the physical world. I believe the real us is spiritual. I believe that it is transcendent of this physical nature and physical body. I do believe from not just what I read in ancient texts, not just from what I read in spiritual texts, but even from hearing near-death experiences, that there is a version of us that is purely spirit, purely consciousness. That version is perfect. That version is flawless. It is not connected or related to the physical side and all of the imperfections that go along with inhabiting a human, what we call a human fleshly avatar, physical, three-dimensional body. And so that part of you is not your habits. That part of you exists in a state of pure consciousness, pure awareness. Some call it the I am. It's connected with God, the creator, source, sustainer, and literally everything. But the persona, also described by some as the ego or the egoic self, is who I am discussing today. And this is a part of the interface that we connect with in this physical construct, and we express ourselves through the persona or the personality. And within the persona or the personality is an egoic being, an egoic thoughts, feelings, emotions, so forth and so on. So as it relates to habits, I broke down in the first installment what habits were. I hope you go back and listen to that first podcast. If you haven't, and if you found it beneficial, please share it with other people. Please share it with other people. And understand and recognize that thoughts are the things that create habits. They are the product of mental activity. Thoughts of mental activity are the product of mental activity, which one thinks. These are what thoughts are: mental activity, mental estimation, so forth and so on. Again, go back to the previous installment. I shared with you how thoughts determine behavior, changes emotions, influences in the immune system, forges character, shapes attitude, and forms spirituality. And I even broke down what I meant by that last statement. You should go back and check it out. The definition of habits is an acquired behavioral pattern regularly followed until it has almost become almost involuntary. It is also a customary practice or use. We do it so much until it's like reflexive. It's autonomous. We just do it without having to analyze it. This is a habit. The way you start your day, how you engage with people, how you conversate, how you deal with problem solving, how you drive, what you eat, so forth and so on. These are habits. So we discussed that along with a few other things. We went over the '05 University of Pennsylvania study. We just want you to, if you get a chance, go back and check that out. But those are what thoughts and habits are. And so today I want to just give you a few pointers. I want to make sure I try and use my time wisely. And I want to share with you three principles that will help you change your habits. And remember, what we do physically is done first mentally. A physical habit, I should say this, paraphrase it, um, your mentality is an ancestor of your physicality. In other words, we think, we imagine, we speak, then we do. What we think, we imagine, we feel, and then we typically do. So our habits, again, are thought patterns. And these are thought patterns that we have had typically many times for years. Neuroplasticity talks to us about the expansion of the brain. It talks to us about neural pathways being formed uh, from routines, from repetition of thought, meaning that the more we do a thing in terms of thoughts, excuse me, the more we think a thing, the more a pathway is carved out, a groove somehow, some way in the brain. And that's what we follow. It becomes a habit for us or habit forming for us. And again, we do it subconsciously. We do it without analyzing our behavior because it is who and what we are in that moment. So I want to share with you some pointers in terms of um, how to change your habits, how to change your habits. And I'm going to be kind of extracting, well, not kind of, but actually extracting these principles from Dr. Archibald D. Hunt on how to change your habits. Number one, the best way to eradicate an old habit is to establish a new one that competes with the old habit. This is what Dr. Hunt suggests in his book. The old one will eventually be extinguished. And again, going back to that neural pathway, a neural pathways example, it is explained by many neuroscientists that when you have habits, it's because you have a pattern of thinking that you have participated in extensively over a period of time. So it's like a highway. Your thoughts are used to taking that highway. It's already carved out. It's already cut out, as we could say, it's already constructed. And it's easy for you to get up in the morning and make your coffee the same way you've made it. It's just a natural flow. There's no resistance in terms of thinking to the neurological or from a neurological standpoint, from a brain cell standpoint. You're just used to flowing down that same interstate of thinking that leads to the same interstate, of course, of behavior. But they also describe, I've heard neuroscientists describe, is that if you switch to a new pattern of thinking, which of course is going to create a new habit, as you're forging those new pathways, you're abandoning the old pathways. And just imagine an interstate that has not been used for 20 years, or an interstate that has not been used for 10 years, or imagine an interstate, this is a better example, that has not been maintained, kept up for 5 years. There'll be all kinds of grass on the side. There'll be all kinds of weeds in the medium. If there were any cracks in the concrete itself, you know how in your driveway those pesky, little weeds and plants grow up through that. That's what you would see on the interstates in our country that are not maintained. Well, this is what happens from a neurological perspective. The old becomes abandoned, uh, narrow, constricted, and the new is now where the freshly paved concrete is there. And you're going to take that more consistently every day, and you no longer take the old interstate. By the time you look back at the mental course or the mental pathway you used to take, you see it's all covered up, it's unattractive, and you feel within yourself and say within yourself by that time, whether it's after you form this new habit, oh, just don't like it no more. I don't even like the way it looks. I don't even like the way it feels. So the best way to eradicate an old habit is to establish a new one that competes with the bad habit. All right. So, for example, when smokers who are trying to quit, um, sometimes they need to pick up something that is going to be more productive than maybe smoking, which some people pick up eating. That's not good. So, you might pick up a hobby, or you might munch on something nutritious when you have that impulse to smoke, or you replace it with something that you like, something that you desire, something that you could grow to like, or something that you could grow desire to fill in for that habit. That's what he suggests as number one. Number two, creating a good habit requires a strong motivation for change. That is so true. We have to have, in the creation of a good habit, a motivation for change. And as for me, in changing my lifestyle a few years ago in terms of what I eat, that was a strong motivation, and strong motivation was health. Desiring change isn't enough. The word motivate comes from the Latin word movere. It means to move. It is to move plus motivus, which is Latin, plus motif, which is Old French, equals motive. In the modern definition, there is something that causes a person to act in a certain way, do a certain thing. That something is the mover. So when we can become emotionally invested, for example, if we want to lose weight in eating healthier, or participating in exercise, or getting involved in walking, a thought without an emotion, how can I say this, is ineffectual. It is soulless. It is sterile. It is generic. It is bland. But when we attach an emotion to something, it adds meaning to it. It adds, in that emotion, in that feeling, there's an interpretation of positive and negative, and in a positive sense, there's an uplifting. There is a drive that the emotion, because it moves us, it pushes us. So I want you to consider that the word emotion is from the Latin emovere, meaning to move. It's the effect of a feeling, part of experience. Feelings are closely related to thinking. Thinking certain thoughts can produce positive or negative emotions. So I want you to do a better job of paying attention to that. There are certain things that come across your mind, death, loss, or maybe personal challenges. It starts many times as a thought, and what happens? An emotion that's connected to that thought moves us. It moves us to feel sad, discouraged, or depressed, or in a positive sense, it can move us to feel better about ourselves. The motivation has a motive or something that moves it. This joins with emotion, which is a feeling that moves us. This then pushes us to either do good or bad, negative or positive. I want you to see it like this: motivating thoughts walk toward change, while motivating emotions run. We do need a balance of both. So we want motivating thoughts with emotions together. So positive thoughts unto themselves aren't enough. There should be a good feeling attached to those positive thoughts. Now we're ready to run. So we do need a little bit of both. So you want to have a strong motivation in creating a good habit. You want to have a strong motivation to change. What's your motivation for change? Mine in changing my health was my motivation. That was my motivation to be in better health, to look better, to be fit, to come out of the risk factors and the risk zone that I was in. That was a great motivation for me. What's your motivation for whatever it is in terms of the habit that you want to break and the habit that you want to change? Focus on that motivation. Allow it to move you, allow it to inspire you to make positive change. The next thing I would say is that strong motivation, again, I kind of described that, provides strong reasons that must move us. Again, it must move us. Some people change their lifestyles for their children. They want to be around longer. So they cut out stuff. They stop hanging out. They stop drinking excessively. They stop doing drugs. They stop running the streets. That's the thing that moves them. So it could be life or death. It could be that your quality of life is jeopardized. It could be success or failure. Hang in the balance. We've got to have strong reasons that move us. I feel that while I'm talking right now. And when we have a strong reason that moves us, then we're more likely to stay consistent, create the new habit, create the new thought and the new habit, and stay consistent in the change. The old folk used to say it like this: you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. So, yes, we do need motivation. Everybody needs motivation. For me, it was a challenging doctor's report. I'm blessed to be able to say that the doctor wanted to put me on a glucose medication, a medication to regulate sugar. And I have seen people ravaged by sugar diabetes in my family. And I said, not so. Before then, I was trying to change my lifestyle and I had changed it, but not significantly enough. That motivated me to change my lifestyle. Now, as of this present moment, I've been a vegan for years. That may change. I mean, I kind of stumbled into that, to be honest. I didn't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to be a vegetarian. No, that's not what happened. But since I've changed that lifestyle with my eating, and of course, before that, better choices, eating with the kinds of meats I ate, the times of day that I ate, incorporating exercise with it, I dropped around 50 pounds. Now, since then, I've gained some of it back. But the good part about that is that I eat much healthier. A lot of foods I don't eat anymore. And my recent doctor's report was a great one as it relates to glucose, so forth. So I never took one pill. I told the doctor I'm not taking one pill. And I've never had to. So he eventually reversed his diagnosis. And I've used natural supplements along with good eating and some fitness to control that. So my doctor's report, that was one of the final motivating factors for me. All right, let's see where I am on time. I'm good today. So number three, it's vital to stay motivated. I'm going to say it again. It's vital to stay motivated. So let me start at the top. If you're taking notes in these three principles for change. Number one, the best way to eradicate an old habit is to establish a new one that competes with the bad habit. And number two is creating a good habit requires a strong motivation for change. Desiring change isn't enough. There's a whole lot of folk out here who desire to change. Oh, I want to change, or I'm going to change. Next year, I'm going to change. Next month, I'm going to change. And many times those time elapses, as we say, it comes and goes, and people are doing the same thing they say they desire to do 2 months prior to that, 2 years prior to that. Number three, it's vital to stay motivated. It's vital to stay motivated. Find ways to keep yourself motivated. Motivation is wind to a sailboat. It's fuel. Did you hear what I just said? It's wind to a sailboat. It's fuel. When the wind isn't blowing, the boat drifts with the tide. We have got to find ways. When I look in the mirror, I gain probably half of the weight back. And again, it's a healthier version of me because there's a lot of stuff that made me unhealthy before that put me in the risk zone. I'm not eating those things anymore. It was a psycho spiritual connection, psycho spiritual, well, psycho spiritual soma, which is body. So spirit, soul, and body thing that I had to bring into alignment to make the shift and the change. But looking in the mirror of myself, this is just me talking, not liking seeing what I see is motivation for me. Okay. I had pretty good energy levels because, I just don't eat certain things anymore. I need to be more active. And I'm looking in that mirror and I don't like a wrinkle or whatever I see, a love handle, whatever. That's my standard for me. I'm motivated. If I feel like my sexy is kind of off physically, I'm motivated. You've got to find ways to motivate you. The greatest competitors in the world uh, are self motivators. So when motivation is gone, you're out of fuel and you drift in life. You've got to become a self motivator. If you're quitting smoking, you want to change the habit of smoking, just remind yourself, if there's anybody in your life that you love, that this could lead to cutting your life short, reducing your lifespan. Consider what it could do to your physical health. Consider what it could do to your lungs. Consider what it could do to your overall quality of life. If you're motivated to have a great quality of life. As for me, for example, I'm not concerned so much with longevity. I don't, just be honest, I don't want to be here at 90 years young. Seriously, I've been like that pretty much most of my life. But the life that I live, I want it to be qualitative. I want to enjoy what I eat. I want to enjoy what I do. I want to enjoy how I feel. I want to be able to do what I do as long as I want to at the highest levels possible. That includes my creativity. That includes my articulation or having articulation in terms of speech. That includes um, being present and aware. That includes being a husband, a father, a son. That includes making love to the woman that I'm with at the highest levels possible, no matter what age category I'm in. I got all kinds of motivations. You got to be motivated. If you don't have motivation, you're just drifting. You're just drifting aimlessly in life. You know what I'm saying? If you want to change your financial bottom line, my motivation for that is taking care of the women and children that I love. The woman, I should say woman that's singular, and children, my mother and other people that are vitally important to me, and then being able to impact the world. That's a motivation for me. It's not just about having stuff for me. The motivation to grow and increase and expand in that area in terms of living abundantly and accessing abundance is so that I can share that with people. So every day I wake up in the morning, it's not about me just being able to access and know abundance so that I can have stuff, cars and houses and feel good that way. No, I want to love on the people I love, beginning with my partner, my spouse, my wife, and moving into other phases, children and mother and all siblings, and you know what I'm saying, nieces. And I want to be able to bless them and then other folk in the world that I'm assigned to bless. I hope this makes sense, the way that I'm discussing it. One of the uh I think unequivocally is probably on the list of the greatest competitors, probably in the modern world, is Michael Jordan, who is my GOAT in basketball, 6-time world champion. Behind him in competitiveness would probably be my second, which would be the great late Kobe Bryant. They manufactured ways to motivate themselves. They looked at players or looked at coaches, across the court and made up things. I'm just, these are stories that I've heard from other players. So and so don't like me. I didn't like the way they looked at me. They just don't respect me, or fed on any little thing they could extract from the media and created giant boulders and chips on their shoulders and just went out and will themselves to dominating their opponents, to just to make sure they kept themselves motivated to operate at peak efficiency, to perform at the highest level possible. You and I have to learn how to manufacture ways to motivate ourselves. Am I making any sense? I didn't like what the disease had done to my family. I used it as fuel. I didn't like the doctor's report. I didn't like the fact that the doctor didn't talk to me about fitness and nutrition and wanted to stick me on a pill. I used it as fuel. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. I used it as fuel. I wanted to be around. I had a young son, very young at the time. I wanted to be around so I could run with him, jump with him, teach him how to play sports so that he can have 20 to 30 years with me. Hear me. Use it as fuel. Use your pain as fuel. Use your enemies as fuel. You got to be motivated to win. You've got to be motivated to make that change. You've got to be motivated to do better. Use whatever's in proximity and whatever is near and dear to your heart. Focus on that if necessary to make sure that you are properly and adequately motivated to break habits that might be causing you to lose, to break habits that might be causing you to be impoverished, to break habits that may cause you to have a defeatist mentality, to break habits that's constantly uh, placing you in situations where you're not the best version of you, and it feels like you're always coming in last or on the bottom side of life, whatever it is that's necessary to motivate you to exact the greatest change possible in your life. That's what you should be willing to do. And I want to say this to you. People are counting on you. It's not just about you. People are counting on you. You're not just living for you, you're living for other people. You want to position yourself, especially if you have children and loved ones, to be blessed, to be a blessing, not just blessed in terms of having the essence of the blessing in a spiritual sense, in a energy sense. No, 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 no. I'm leaving legacy. I'm leaving legacy in character. I'm leaving legacy in how I live my life. I'm leaving legacy somehow, some way in terms of business, in terms of organization, in terms of finances. Hear what I'm saying? What is it that I need to motivate me when I'm down, when I'm not, when I'm feeling like a daisical, when I'm feeling sluggish, when I'm feeling like giving up? I'm just going to be honest. For many days, for me, it was my youngest child. I felt like my oldest two were good, and if they're listening, I love y'all too. And I just felt like I wouldn't be needed as much by them because they were older and had their own things going on in their lives. Hear what I'm saying today. But now I realize I have to focus on them and who I'm, have a marriage partner and so forth. And so I got to focus on all of that now. But my point is, for the many, many, many years, it was just him. So whatever it is, find your focus. If you can't focus on you and do it just for you, hear what I'm saying today. Because sometimes that's not enough. It wasn't enough certain days for me to just think about me because I'm not I'm not in love with this physical existence. Going to the other side does not scare me. I know that I don't end as a life force because I leave this body. These were my thoughts. So I needed a person to keep me grounded and tethered to this existence. And for many years, it was my youngest son, Austin. I love all my children, but he was so young and they had grown up with a father. I wanted him to grow up with a father, so forth and so on. You see what I'm saying? So it was a great source of motivation for me in many areas to continue to live and to be and to strive. And I'm asking you now, what's your motivation? And whatever it is, that's your motivation. Hang on to it. Use it as fuel and do the best that you can to access the greatest, best version of you. I hope that you found this message to be empowering, empowering, empowering to you. Now I'm going to leave you with a power thought for today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Jim Ryan. Whatever you do, find your motivation, get started, and develop habits that will keep you going. Thank you for tuning in to The Divine You. Yours truly, A.G. Green. See you soon.